Today we're taking a look at these MLB matches, which are happening on Tuesday, April 18, 2023, and giving you our team and total picks for today. Welcome back to High Stakes. Before we dive into our video, don't forget to subscribe and to push the notification bell so you don't miss any of our videos. Also check out our Patreon if you want access to our premium picks. Our Patreon is a way for us to help you improve your chances of making more money, and if you are interested in props and parlay picks, check out our new channel High Stakes Props and Parlays, where you can find our player props and parlay picks predictions. You will find the link to our Patreon and to our new channel in the description and comments section below. Cleveland Guardians vs Detroit Tigers. Prior to having their series finale with San Francisco washed out, the Tigers won back-to-back 11 innings games against them to extend their win streak to 3 games entering this series. In their 2 games against the Giants, they scored 14 runs and had 20 hits. Despite the recent outburst, they are still dead last in all of baseball, with a team average of .208. They have scored 50 runs, the second fewest overall, and their 101 hits are 11 less than the next closest team. Entering the Giants series, JV Baez had just 5 hits on the season. The Tigers shortstop picked up 2 hits and 2 RBIs in each of the games versus San Francisco and scored a run in each as well. I like what the Tigers did against the Giants at home, then they get the unexpected off day and get to remain there. After getting swept in their home opening series against Boston, they look to have at the very least found a bit of themselves. They looked more urgent in defending their home turf than in that Red Sox series, and most importantly the bat seemed to have finally arrived. 20 hits over 2 games is a solid way to spend a weekend. Against a pitcher like Gattis, I can't see why they wouldn't be able to keep the momentum rolling there. His counterpart Rodriguez is much more seasoned, obviously, and after a couple of bumps out of the gate, his last start should serve notice to this Guardians lineup. Take the Tigers on the money line. Already this season these two teams have each seen 9 of their games reach the over on the total. The Guardians' last 2 games had 10 or more runs, and 3 of their last 5 would beat the total place in this game, same for Detroit. Cleveland has scored 6 runs in both of their last 2 games, and the Tigers have put up 7 in back-to-back games. Neither pitcher has locked it down this season, though Rodriguez had a strong outing last time out. Regardless, Gattis isn't one to be trusted as of yet. The over is 5-0 in his last 5 starts on grass, and the Guardians' last 6 games versus an AL Central team. For Detroit, the over is 4-0-2 in their last 6 Monday games and 4-0 in the last 4 starts that Rodriguez has made on a grass field. Take the over. Philadelphia Phillies vs Chicago White Sox. Chicago made a few moves in the offseason to hopefully get the bitter taste of 2022 out of their mouths. Their fans are hoping this season is more in line with their 2021 form, where they were kings of the division. The biggest signings for the White Sox include Andrew Benintendi, Mike Clevinger, and Elvis Andrus. They also acquired Franklin German and Gregory Santos, while exercising their $12.5 million on Tim Anderson. With the additions come losses, however. Jose Abreu has departed for free agency along with Johnny Cueto, Josh Harrison, and A.J. Pollock to name a few. Berger now has the highest ops and SLG percentage among hitters who have had at least 5 at-bats, with a 1.368 and a 1.000 respectively. His batting average is at .353, while Luis Robert is leading in the power category, with 5 homers and 11 runs batted in. Robert also has the most hits on the team with 18. Although it is early, the White Sox will need to create more on offense like they did today if they are to accomplish their goals of a division crown. Lance Lynn gets the nod to start in tomorrow's contest. Lynn is hoping to rebound from his disaster starts with an ERA of 7.31 ERA and a WHIP of 1.63. His latest outing was slightly better, giving up only 3 runs with 6 innings pitched and striking out 10. Yoan Moncada and Tim Anderson are 2 key position players on the injured list. 4 relief pitchers including 2022 All-Star Liam Hendriks are also listed on the injury report. Hendriks has everyone's support as he goes through his fight through cancer. I'm giving Chicago the slightest edge in this contest due to the fact they are playing at home and Philadelphia is going through some injuries to its main players. Both starters are well known for being consistent, but ironically have started off quite poorly, followed by a solid performance in their latest outings. Chicago is looking for its revenge after losing 2 of 3 to the Orioles, including the series finale. Chicago is 51-23 in their last 74 games versus an opponent with a winning percentage lower than .400. Our team pick is Chicago White Sox money line. While the injuries are critical for both sides, I still don't have full confidence that either starter can consistently shut down their opponent at this point in time. Neither bullpen is enough for me to write home about, and both teams still have quality offensive players to help them produce runs. There can be no better example of this than Trea Turner. Due to his speed and batting skill, he has the ability to score nearly on a whim as soon as he gets on base. The Phillies have hit the over 6 of their last 7 times on the road versus a team with a losing record. Our total pick over 8 runs. Cleveland Guardians vs Detroit Tigers. With Game 3 against the Giants postponed, the Tigers got some extra rest at home, following a shortened series sweep over San Francisco. Game 2 was fueled by a 5-run rally by Detroit that forced extra innings and ultimately yielded them a victory. The Tigers trailed by 6 after 3 innings, but a Miguel Cabrera walk-off single in the 11th gained them their 3rd win in as many games. 9 Tigers recorded a hit and DH Kerry Carpenter hit a solo shot in the 2nd. Michael Lorenzen had the nod for Detroit and he allowed 6 runs and struck out 6 over 4 innings. LHP Eduardo Rodriguez will be on the hump for the Tigers. Rodriguez is 0-2 on the season through 3 starts and is looking to taste victory for the first time this season. He's coming off a strong road showing against the Blue Jays, where he allowed just 1 run over 6 innings while striking out 3. This is Rodriguez's first home start of the season, which bodes well as he did throw his best on the home mound a season ago. Through the first 3 games he's posting an ERA of 4.5 and striking out just over 5 foes per 9 innings, both near the low end of his career average. With that said, he's not walking many batters either and has left nearly 78% of batters on base, a number any pitcher would be happy to boast. His current 1.31 whip is right on his career average, but what's important is that he doesn't fall victim to the long ball, as has been the case this year, allowing 1.69 homers per 9 innings pitched. A number that should tick down, but is worth monitoring as the season progresses. Detroit comes into this game with a run differential of -37, which is 29th in the league. This differential has shrank over the last few games, however, as the Tigers have accrued 17 runs over the last 3 games. What has been a consistent drag on Detroit's offense has been their league worst batting average and near league low hits per game. At over 10 strikeouts per game, the Tigers haven't seemed that comfortable at the plate and are seemingly unable to make regular contact. This high strikeout rate has been compounded by a near-league low walk rate. While the Tigers do find themselves sitting toward the bottom of the league in a slew of batting metrics, they can take solace in their recent success and stay at home as they try to extend their season-high win streak. The Tigers are playing the best ball of the season, albeit still early, but they found their swing of late and they send Eduardo Rodriguez to the mound, who is coming off a great outing but unable to tack a win onto it. He'll be zoned in, and while the Guardians have had plenty of trips to the plate, they just haven't made the most of it. Add to, they have a green pitcher on the mound in his first road start. Ride the hot home dog. Our team pick is Detroit money line. While we haven't seen a lot out of Battenfield, he has never been known for his strikeout ability. Couple that as he faces a Detroit team that seems to be eyeing the ball with great clarity over the last several games. As for Rodriguez, he's fallen victim to the long ball, and even though he ceded just 1 run in his last outing, he gave up 7 hits over those 6 innings. With both pitchers proving to be vulnerable, we should expect to see some runs here. Take the over 8 runs. San Francisco Giants vs Miami Marlins. Prior to the start of this series, San Francisco had lost 3 straight, but the Giants were beginning to show some life at the plate, scoring an average of 5.33 runs per game over their last 3 games. San Francisco starting pitcher Alex Wood has had 2 strong outings, but has not taken part in the decision in either one. The left-hander has allowed 7 hits and 1 earned run in 70 innings, with San Francisco winning each of the 2. Miami has struggled to score with just 49 runs, which is 30th in baseball, and have only the 21st best slugging percentage at .387. Miami has scored an average of just 2.75 runs over its last 4 games, which includes a shutout loss on Sunday to Arizona. These bullpens have been struggling as Miami is 22nd in the sport with a 4.60 reliever ERA, while San Francisco is the 3rd worst with a 6.08 bullpen ERA up to this point. Both teams are in the top half of MLB in terms of batting average of balls in play, as the Giants are 11th in the sport with a .308 team BABIP, while the Marlins are right behind them as they are 12th in MLB with a .304 team BABIP thus far. The over has hit in the last 5 Giants road games, so go with over 8 runs in this game as well. Tampa Bay Rays vs Cincinnati Reds. Cincinnati has alternated wins and losses over their last 6 games, and something tells me that this is how their season will go. The Reds likely aren't a playoff team, but they have some talent and may flirt with .500 all year. Cincinnati picked up a win Monday night, relying on timely hitting and taking advantage of walks. Kevin Newman got the party started with a solo home run in the 2nd, and he notched an RBI single in the 7th as well. He was the only player to record multiple hits for the Reds, going 3-4 on the day. Hunter Greene made the start and lasted just 3 innings, holding the Rays scoreless and allowing just 1 hit. From there, the bullpen held it down, and Ian Gibaut ultimately earned the win in relief. The odds makers are expecting a pretty tight game Tuesday night as the Rays take on the Reds in the 2nd game of their interleague series. However, I don't see this one being that close. While Nick Lodolo is off to a hot start in the new campaign, he's running into a Tampa team that's had his number before. The current Rays team is 7-19, .529 against the Southpaw with 2 doubles and a home run. Furthermore, Tampa Bay is currently the best defense in baseball, leading the league in runs scored, 115, home runs, 37, and ops, .880. Lodolo has looked great to start the season, which is why I'm also going to lock in the under. But, with head-to-head stats like we have here combined with how dominant the Rays' offense has been, it just makes sense to ride with Tampa Bay. Our team pick is Tampa Bay Rays money line. So, as I mentioned, Lodolo is carving up the league this year. He's currently 2-0 with a 2.12 ERA and 1.41 WHIP. 1.41 is a touch high, but he's punched out 27 batters, meaning he has strikeout stuff that he can rely on to work his way out of jams. That'll be crucial for the 25-year-old as he's taking on the best defense in baseball. Ultimately, I think it'll be somewhere in the middle. The Rays will probably score a few runs, but nothing over the top. On the flip side, Taj Bradley will be making his 2nd career start. He showed signs of greatness in his debut, racking up 8 punchouts over 5.0 innings against the Red Sox. But the key reason I think this one stays under is due to Tampa Bay's bullpen. They're currently 6th overall in both ERA, 3.22, and WHIP, 1.12. If the young starter gets into any trouble, the Rays can always rely on their insanely good arm barn. Let's lock in the under. Baltimore Orioles vs Washington Nationals. The Nationals are also coming off a victory on Sunday, as it was a 7-6 win over Shane Bieber and the Cleveland Indians to avoid the series sweep. It was just the 2nd win at home for Washington this year, 2-7 Sioux, and this Orioles mini-series will actually be the 3rd AL team the Nationals have welcomed into town this year. They dropped 2 of 3 to Cleveland, allowing 5.33 runs per game there, and were swept by Tampa Bay, allowing 23 runs in the 3 losses, and never once fewer than 6. None of those numbers can bring much hope to any thoughts of backing Washington in this game, but they do have Josiah Gray starting, and Gray has easily been the Nats' best starter so far this year. The Nationals are 0-3 Sioux in Gray's 3 outings, but how much blame, if any, you want to put on Gray for those defeats has to be minimal. Washington's offense has scored a grand total of 1 run for Gray in those 3 starts, the most recent being 1-0 and 2-0 losses at Colorado and the LA Angels respectively. Admittedly, Gray didn't have his best stuff in the season opener 7-1 loss to Atlanta, but he's gone into the 6th inning in each of his last 2 starts and threw 100-plus pitches in both. His stuff is working for the most part, and if he can keep the ball in the ballpark for HR allowed, he should be able to provide a stiff test to this Baltimore offense. As much as I do believe that Josiah Gray's starts are ones where backing Washington may be most attractive this year until they start scoring some runs for him, I just can't trust the Nationals' bats enough to pull their weight. Washington ranks dead last in team secondary average this year, 0.191, meaning that they just aren't moving guys along the base paths. Even against an Orioles starter such as Creamer, who's had trouble keeping opponents off the scoreboard, their propensity not to even get guys on the base paths in Gray's starts could make it really tough for Washington to remain competitive here. A day off may not always be the best thing for this hot Baltimore offense that's been scoring in bunches, and Gray is the best the Nationals have got to throw at them. It might not be the most aesthetic win, but the Orioles should be able to find enough hits to ultimately end up on top. Our team pick is Baltimore money line. Having a day off hasn't hurt Baltimore yet this year, at least in terms of over-bets cashing, as the Orioles are 2-0 in that spot, owing a total plus of +6 in those games. Very small sample size for sure, but even against the Nats' best starter, this Baltimore lineup should find plenty of success. As a team that's going to likely lose 60% of their games this year, Washington's tied second in team double plays per game, 1.13, isn't likely to last very long, and neither is Baltimore's for that matter, as the Orioles are one of 3 others tied with Washington in that top spot. Creamer is not a guy I can completely trust to shut down a Nats lineup that's held their own at times this year, and with Washington 5-3-1 already at home this year, expecting runs is the easier answer here. Don't see too many occurrences where a Washington ML under result is what we see in the end here, as I'm also not sure how long Gray's great pitching and/or lack of run support really lasts either. The Orioles have scored at least 4 runs in 7 straight games, and 12 of their 16 games, 75% this season, while Washington has allowed at least 4 runs in 12 of their 16 games, 75% too. Penciling in 4 runs for Baltimore 75% of the time here is theory I'm willing to roll with here, as both sides bring out the bats in this interleague affair. Our total pick is over 9.5 runs. Los Angeles Angels vs New York Yankees. The LA Angels are stumbling. They were dealt a series loss in Fenway and have dropped 3 of their last 4 games. The New York Yankees have been winning games with consistency. They have yet to lose a series and have won 6 of their last 9 games. They are doing as expected and bashing several home runs. Furthermore, Angels starter Jose Suarez is not a reliable pitcher. He has been shelled in his 2 outings. He allowed 7 runs, 6 earned in his first start, and 4 runs on 10 hits against the Nats in his second one. That's 11 runs given up in only 8 innings. The Yankees are starting a right-hander in Clark Schmidt. The Angels have a poor .678 ops against right-handed pitching this season. Our team pick is New York Yankees. When looking at these teams, the stars are filtered throughout both lineups, but in recent times, it's been the pitching that has lent itself to success for both of these teams, being no different against each other, with the over sitting at 4-1 in the past 5 head-to-head meetings. For the Angels, the under is 4-1-1 in their past 6 overall games, and for the Yankees, the under sits at 5-1 in their past 6 games taking place at Yankee Stadium, and even without the big names on the mound, this should be a low-scoring grind. Keep it simple, take the under 9 runs. Minnesota Twins vs Boston Red Sox. Both teams have had their ups and downs in the first few weeks of the season. Minnesota was rolling after taking the first 2 games in New York against the Yankees, only to score just 1 run combined in the final 2 games of that series. Meanwhile, Boston bounced back from getting swept by Tampa Bay as they took the first 3 games of their series with the Angels. This one basically boils down to the pitching matchup, as Gray has been solid in his first 3 starts, while Sale has a double-digit ERA and has given up 5 home runs in 12 innings. While Gray has struggled against Boston in his career run at Fenway Park, the Twins are the better team right now. With Sale struggling to get outs without giving up runs, you have to back Minnesota in this contest. The Twins will be shutting down the Red Sox's offense on Tuesday night. Their offense has been poor this year as they rank towards the bottom in most offense statistics, but the Red Sox have been allowing runs. The under should be the play as I can't see either team scoring many runs. The under is 4-0 in the Twins' last 4 games following an off day. The under is 4-1 in the Red Sox's last 5 home games. Take the under on Tuesday.